A new UN report is sounding the alarm, calling the climate crisis a code red for humanity, with the world's temperature climbing to disastrous levels in the next 20 years. Now, a few big takeaways. Humans are to blame for warming the planet. Researchers say an increase in carbon dioxide can be tied to the world's industrialization. They also say climate science is getting better, and there's still a small window in which we can take control of what happens next. But no matter what, the climate will continue to get worse for at least 30 years due to all of the greenhouse gases already in the atmosphere. Well, this week, White House climate advisor Gina McCarthy stopped through Chicago's suburbs, touting progress on climate action and visiting Fermilab and Argonne National Laboratory. And I spoke with McCarthy and Congressman Casten about that and more. Take a listen. Thank you, Advisor McCarthy. Congressman Casten, for joining me. It's good to see you. The United Nations issued a report yesterday stressing the urgency of climate action, and the report also noted that the problems being seen globally are obviously being seen right here in Illinois. Ms. McCarthy, let me come to you. How do you get Americans to take the climate challenge more seriously and recognize its reality?
Well, the IPCC report was pretty stark, but it did really point out that our pathway to tackle climate change is really narrowing, so the time to act is now. And I think you get it by working with congressmen like Congressman Casten, who actually understand that climate change is real and he's taking action to address it. So I'm excited, frankly, today, because we got 69 votes in the Senate to move forward with the bipartisan infrastructure deal, and we're looking forward to starting all the discussion on the next step, which is our budget resolution, because this is all about investing in the United States again, our communities, our people. So yes, it has great things in there for planet, but I want the people to know that climate change is really about them, their lives, their safety, their security, their health. And if we invest as we can right now, we are going to meet the moment here in the U.S., and we're going to show leadership as we head to the international community in Glasgow in November.
Congressman, let me ask you. I've been wanting to ask you this. You spoke on the House floor on climate change using a lot of lyrics of Fergie, who I think is a singer. It seemed a little odd until you seemed to recognize that even your colleagues didn't understand the urgency of the climate change. So enter Fergie to make a difference. How do you reach the average American? Do we go with like Barbra Streisand? What do we got to do?
Well, I have talked about how I'd like to go with the single coolest guy to ever come from Illinois 6th District is, of course, Muddy Waters. And I've been talking about we should get your mojo firking, but I'm told that that wouldn't appeal to some of the demographic that we're looking for. No, look, more seriously, the young generation gets this, right? We sat with students today. One of the students said sustainability matters to all of his peers, and he wishes that in every class it was part of what was taught because they all understand it. I would also point out to you that, the deniers may have the volume, but people who understand science have got the numbers. There's not really a lot of debate about this, right? Now there's some hard political issues of what do we do if we have this huge wealth transfer from energy producers to energy consumers? What does that mean for the parts of our country that have historically depended on that coal mine, right? And we have an obligation to those Americans, we have an obligation to those communities, and there's some tension. As I've said to one of my colleagues across the aisle who represents a coal-intensive area, I said, if your district lost $100 and mine gained 1,000, I can understand why you wouldn't vote for the bill and say, good news, everybody, we grew the American economy by $900, right? So we have to think about how to make sure that that's done equitably, but I have no doubt that the overwhelming majority of the public understands this already at a deep gut level.
Advisor McCarthy, there's the UN report also said there's still a window in which humans can act. So given that, what is the single most important step you think needs to be taken first?
Well, first we got to get the bipartisan infrastructure deal over the finish line to show people in the United States that we're all working for them again, and that science matters. But equally important, we have to get at the budget resolution that needs to move forward, because it's really important. It provides tax incentives for businesses for renewable energy. It provides consumer rebates so that consumers can afford the cars of today and the future. It actually invests in our grid, bringing manufacturing back to the United States. It is not just climate. like the clean electricity standard, but it is about how we grow our economy. And it is, as President Biden says, the opportunity of a lifetime for the United States to win the 21st century. That's what this is all about.
Ms. McCarthy, I'm going to stay with you because obviously Representative Kasten and Congresswoman Underwood bringing you here want you to see Chicago area, Illinois. And so let me ask you, given your visits to Argonne, Fermilab now, how do we rank when you see where monies and projects should go? Where does Illinois rank on your list as you look at 50 states?
Well, Chicago is one of my favorites. I come from Boston. I consider that a child of Chicago. There's the same feel here as there. You know, Chicago's large, but there's a fundamental community spirit here. We can see in both regions and at the community level, people have already done their climate plans. They are ready to rock and roll. They live in the shadow of terrific national labs that if we didn't have, we'd never have battery technology today. So why aren't we manufacturing it here? So they're demanding people. They expect us to invest in their future. And frankly, they're way high up on the top of my agenda for people that I think both get it, want it, and are going to demand it.
And Congressman, let me ask
you. Heard it here first. Illinois 6.
Well, that was I was coming to you for the confirmation on that. But in addition, as you see the resources here, as you show it to Advisor McCarthy, and you brought in Tom Skilling today, so I mean, you've got the big guns going on. What are the first projects you want to see tackled here?
Well, so we have these amazing resources in the Chicagoland area, and we were meeting with a number of people today about transmission. We've got a huge amount of wind power downstate. We've got a huge amount of wind power to the west of us. We have some real bottlenecks in getting that power out to where the load is. And so if we're going to electrify our vehicle fleet, as the Biden White House, as you've been leading on, to make sure that we get to 50% electric vehicles, we're going to have to get a lot more clean energy to where the people are. And so building those transmission wires, debottlenecking some of the process, it's why I've been talking so much about FERC, because FERC really is in a position to make sure that we build the wires where they need, get the cost allocation formulas, and bring clean power to people where they live.
One of the comments that you and Ms. McCarthy, that you always are all talking about the job creations that the bill will bring, and so in the new effort. So my question is, for folks who are watching us or out there saying, yeah, I need a job, whatever, are we talking about technical jobs, skilled jobs? What are we talking about nationwide? And Congressman, I'll ask you about Illinois.
We're talking about the vast majority of jobs not even needing a bachelor's degree. So yes, we'll have training opportunities. Yes, we'll be able to get good paying union jobs out of this. But we have a lot of investment now in actually retraining people so that they can actually get these jobs of the future. But I have no question that people want a job, need a job. It's a sense of pride for most people. And what we have not done in the past is recognized that in these climate areas, the kind of jobs that we can grow will give everybody an opportunity for a good paying job. And that's what this is about. This is not sacrifice. This is recognizing the reality and turning it into opportunity.
So, Congressman, turning that into a skills question and all of that, it sounds like Ms. McCarthy said there's jobs for everybody. Is that what you see?
So look, we heard one of the people we met with today pointed out that 70% of all the clean energy jobs, and by the way, there are way more clean energy jobs being created than anything else, 70% of them are in energy efficiency. We don't talk about that as much, but who's retrofitting the homes, putting heat pumps into your home, giving you installing your electric vehicle chargers? That's where a lot of the job growth are, and we're going to continue to see that. Now, I will say that there's a second piece to that we got to acknowledge, that we are entering the third great energy transition we've had as a society. The first was when we went from muscle power to mechanical power. The second was when we went from mechanical power to electrical power. And what we're now doing is this transition from dirty energy to clean energy. Every one of those transitions has enabled us to spend much more of our time using energy and much less of our time generating energy, right? And with that transition comes huge increases in labor productivity. And that's an opportunity. It means that a whole lot of people who are currently spending their time mining coal, shoveling ash out of ash piles, are going to have opportunities to do something else. We need to make sure that they've got the resources to transition. But the jobs we're going to create, we don't even know what they are yet, because that's what happens every time we go through one of these wonderful, innovative periods.
Let me just, a final question, bring it home here to Illinois. Governor Pritzker here is trying to get an energy deal passed here. It's reaching political stalemate. So my question really for both of you, if a democratically controlled state can't get something through without problems, how do you bring this message around the country? And we'll come to you for Illinois.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we need to act at the federal level, but you're right, we need state partners and we need local partners in this. And part of this is just showing people the value of the work that we're going to do together. You know, I think if a legislature doesn't get it, I think the people will eventually get rid of them. And they're going to start voting for people who actually work on their behalf. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of work to do. I'm sure there's people with great values on all sides. But right now, we don't have time to waste. We have to keep moving forward. And part of the value that I've seen over the past decade has been the value of states and local governments to lead at a time when the federal government didn't over the past administration. We didn't lose a lot of ground because we still had states and local communities working together. So all I'd suggest is, I know the governor's heart is in the right place. I'm sure he wants to get this moving. So talk it through. See if you can't find that common ground. Make a movement forward, because I think that's how the democracy works.
Congressman, this is your home, so what message do you have for Governor Pritzker and the legislature?
Well, so I've had this conversation with the governor. We have a very, very good problem, but it's a problem. And it's the opposite of the problem we talked about. We do not have a problem of how to allocate the pain of this transition, because it is not a painful transition. We do have a problem how to allocate the gain of this transition. We've deployed all this wind in Illinois. We've deployed all this solar. We've replaced our old inefficient gas turbine fleet with combined cycle gas turbines. All of those has served to lower the price of power so much that the nuclear industry now can't make enough to justify their refueling cycle because they don't have enough money. We've now got this coal plant downstate, Prairie State, which is more expensive than all the other power sources. If it went away, the average Illinoisan would pay less for power. But you've got jobs who are employed down there, who went into building that plant. You've got towns that are on the hook for paying for that power, even though they would prefer to buy it from the market. How are we going to allocate the gain? Because when we bring clean energy forward, we bring cheaper energy forward. How do we make sure that those gains are equitably shared between taxpayers, between ratepayers, between people in that transition? That is a terrific problem. It's what Springfield's grappling with, and I'll leave it to them to figure out how to do it, but I'm delighted to be dealing with that kind of a problem.
Complex stuff. All right, still to come this half hour, slow growth, but Chicago's population numbers are finally going up. What the latest data says. Next.